What is a sharp 9 chord? Well, the sharp 9 chord, when played in the simplest way, is the dominant 7 chord with an extra note. We simply put the third of the chord on top but lower it. I actually teach this concept as minor over major. You hear the major sound on the bottom but the minor sound on the top. This exact same chord is written in all 12 keys. It appears very clear in some keys. It is a bit more confusing in others. In a few others, it can be extremely confusing. As you look at the notation, that same chord in many different keys looks totally different. That same look in all different keys doesn't work equally well. This is, of course, true for many other chords. Here is the bottom line. As you play the sharp 9 chord in different keys, you find out that sometimes both the flat 10 interval and the sharp 9 interval look equally good in notation. Either way, they will always be described as a sharp 9 chord, and that is because chord symbols are very standardized in jazz. Jazz remains more about improvising and playing by ear than about writing things down. So jazz musicians describe the chords that they play in a very uniform manner. They don't care how these chords are written. They only care about what they sound like and what they feel like in their hands. As a result, the sharp 9 chord looks way better with the flat 10 interval in some keys. In others, it looks better with the sharp 9 interval. In a few keys, both choices look about the same. This means it is all up to you. A chord sometimes looks clearer and easier to read with one look. If that look is clearly better, you simply choose that. By using this strategy over a long period of time, you simply pick best solutions. The best choices become instinctive. In this video, I start with a C sharp 9 chord with the flat 10 and the sharp 9 on top. These two looks to me are very close in readability. I would pick the D sharp by a hair. I don't need an extra natural on the lower E. It is better if what is on the page exactly matches the name of the chord. In the next example, the C sharp sharp 9 chord, for me there is no choice. I'm going to pick the flat 10. The sharp 9 is D double sharp. I try to avoid double sharps and flats because they are so hard to read. The third example is a D flat sharp 9 chord. I am again going to immediately pick the sharp 9, and E is much easier to read than an F flat. But in the following chord, the D sharp 9 chord, I'm going to pick F on the top. I'm picking the flat 10 because it is easier to read. The last example is a G flat sharp 9 chord. That chord is already hard enough to read with 4 flats. The top F flat is a bit hard to read, and the rules of notation says that it has to be written that way because it is a dominant 7 chord. There is nothing to be done about that. But if we stick a flat 10 on the top, it is going to be a B double flat. For me, that is just plain ugly. So I'm going to pick an A for the top of my chord, which is a sharp 9. That is really the whole thing in a nutshell. Let's go back to the D sharp 9 chord and look at it again. But this time, let's put the C in the right hand and get rid of the A. The A is the 5th. We can always drop the 5th out of a dominant 7th chord without losing the sound of the chord. We always hear that 5th whether it is there or not. Sometimes that dominant 7 chord sounds better that way, more lean and more elegant. The result of all of this gives us the first chord of Spinning Wheel. That was written by Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and decades ago it was very popular. But I think today it is still something most people would enjoy listening to. I suggest that you want to listen to at least the beginning of this. You want to hear how effective that chord is. I will put a link in the description of this video. It is played exactly the way I wrote it in the first measure. Then it stretches up in the second measure for the same chord with an open voicing. The only thing I have to do next is to play that chord several times. That gives me exactly what the band did decades ago. Let's talk about one more thing. Let's talk about how that chord sounds if it's played in a very classical manner. I'll give you an example of that right here. Then let's talk about a typical jazz usage where you play the same chord going up and down in a more chromatic manner. That gives us a very different sound. Notice that the same chord can be used in a very classical manner or a very funky modern manner. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please let me know what you like and what you would like to see in the future. I am always interested in all suggestions about how I can improve things going forward.